truly an honor to be here and to participate in one of the oldest and most respected forms of democratic exchange in our country. We are facing big challenges right now. The fact of the matter is we have $10 trillion worth of debt in our country. That's $33,000 for every man, woman, and child across our country. $10 trillion worth of debt, and we have nothing to show for it. $9 trillion or $10 trillion worth of debt, we still have a crumbling infrastructure. We still have a healthcare system that doesn't provide the insurance to the 47 million Americans who don't have it. We have shrinking manufacturing base, and we have a whittling IRAs for too many Nebraskans. This is not just a failure of policy. This is a failure of leadership. It's a failure that middle-class families across our state and across our country have to pay for. Every time, all summer long, they went to fill up their pickups or their cars on energy. It's a failure that they have to pay for every time they visit the doctor. It's a failure that they see every time their 401ks become 201ks. What we are talking about in this election is about not just changing policies, but changing leadership. We have a failed, broken system in Washington right now that has left us with $10 trillion worth of debt and nothing to show for it. It's about changing a system that defines leadership not by actually getting anything done, but by who can kick the can farther down the road. About not actually doing anything until it becomes a crisis. About not doing or saying anything until the polls say it's popular to do so. I know what effect these policies have had on middle-class families who are facing lower costs, or lower wages but increased costs. It's time that we have new leadership in Washington and actually bring about the changes that we all know have to happen. We need leaders in Washington who will stop thinking about the next election or the next job and start thinking about the next generation. That's my commitment to you tonight. That's how Nebraska can change Washington. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. It's good to see some familiar faces. I've worked in community development in Nebraska for over 20 years. I worked with the neighborhood associations here in Grand Island in the Urban Community Improvement Program. I've been a real grassroots, maybe call me community organizer. If that's a dirty word nowadays, I don't care. That's what I've been doing. I work with low-income communities, help people get organized and make changes to the community. And I also I'm working for peace. I think we have this parade of wars that are going by, and why we're doing it, I just don't understand. Why did we invade Iraq? You know, people say, well, that's in the past. Don't ask that question. But really, why did we? It's costing us $10 billion a month. Why are we continuing it and continuing it? The Iraqis want us out. Their government wants us out. The people want us out. Let's bring our resources home, bring our national resources home and invest right here in our communities in renewable energy, in insulating homes so that low-income people don't have these rising utility costs. Invest in public transportation, that we're not so dependent on the automobile. We can put really millions of good green jobs out for the people, and we will be investing in our own communities. Right now we have over 700 military bases around the world, and that our money is just going out around the world to build this big empire. I believe, and the Green Party believes, that we need to build a common humanity of all the nations of the world, working together for peace and working together for a better environment for future generations. Right now, we're burning so much oil and causing climate-changing gases in the environment that, you know, are going to affect us more and more as time goes by. And so we need to really make this change now. We don't need to be drilling. We need to make the change to renewable energy with wind, solar, geothermal, and anything that our young people can invent, because we need our educational system geared to renewable energy and get our young people inventing the future for our communities.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and thank you so very, very much for being here. Let me also say to our panel and to our sponsors, thank you for participating in tonight's very important debate. The economic crisis has affected everyone. There isn't anyone in this country that hasn't been affected by it. It was a reminder to me, and I'm sure it was a reminder to many in Nebraska, of the post-9/11 recession. Things were going along reasonably well, and then all of a sudden, 9/11, and the bottom just fell out of the revenues in our state and across the United States and state budgets. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we do something very, very smart here in Nebraska. We have a Constitution that says, number one, you have to balance the budget. There is no choice about that. And number two, when the Constitution was written, those who wrote down those words said you could not borrow more than $50,000. Well, that might have been a handsome sum of money more than 100 years ago when the Constitution was written. But today, in effect, what it says is you cannot borrow money. So during that time, I was your governor. We were faced with some great challenges. We cut spending. We ordered our priorities. And we installed very, very aggressive pro-growth policies. Now tonight, after this debate is over, if the governor were to stand here in front of you, he would tell you something about the budget. He would tell you that we have the largest cash reserve in our state's history. It literally is the envy of virtually every state in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, that clearly is what I will take to Washington. A notion of fiscal conservatism that says balance the budget and quit borrowing the money and start working to pay off that national debt. Thank you.